this is where that 4-foot sidewalk
It's a
would
continuous-
it's continuation, yeah.
It's a continuous
It's a-
sidewalk
yeah.
all the way through both
Correct.
the,
And it loops around, comes back out here.
now there was something about a three-way stop sign, and that's part of,
Over on Tommy's, corner of
Tommy's.
Tommy's and Billy's. I think it's up.
Yeah,
I
there are
thought it
stop
was
signs
a-
up.
Yeah,
oh, you already put them up? I mean,
Somebody put them up.
somebody put, was it?
Wasn't me.
you don't have that magic wand.
No, I don't.
I'm not quite sure they've been permanently installed, exactly to where they should be. But I know he did agree to three-way stop at Tommy's and Billy's. Whether they've been secured as a permanent fixture for now, I couldn't answer that. But that was a condition, and we discussed and we all agreed to.
So we can verify the installation. If it's
Yeah.
not installed properly, we'll make sure it's installed correctly.
Neighbor told me that.
Who did?
One of the neighbors up there,
But was it installed properly?
yeah.
In terms of location or in terms of securing it, or both?
I don't know, I haven't been up there to be honest with you, but
What's that?
I didn't take a really good look at them, but I can't imagine, I didn't think anybody placed them in
If they need
concrete
to,
base or anything
yeah, if
like
they need
that.
to be reinstalled or adjusted, I mean, if we're talking about a three-way stop, technically, the stop sign should be behind the crosswalk, not through the crosswalk. So if the stop sign is over here and it's further back from the intersection,
Yeah.
so someone might say, it doesn't look like it's in the right location, cause
Yeah.
they don't understand a crosswalk is gonna come in front of it. So there needs to be some engineering crosswalk identification here, so that the residents understand what's happening. So when I'm talking, if you understand what I'm talking
yeah,
about.
I know what you're talking about, I just don't know the location
Right,
of it.
so if that's the case, if that stop sign is here on that intersection, then that's further away from the intersection that it would normally be.
That's where it
However,
belongs, right?
those regulations
Yeah.
require it to be that far
Yeah.
away from the intersection itself.
Matt, any comments?
You show on your plan putting a stop sign in front of the crosswalk, and these are painted crosswalks?
Yes,
Is that, okay.
yes. So that's where it should go.
And then in addition, you're gonna put, permanently put stop signs at the other intersections?
At the other intersections, yes.
The plan also still has the Cape Cod berm detail. And I thought at the meeting, we had, it was agreed to do a monolithic berm.
Yeah, it can be monolithic or it can be separate. I know that the curbing on Wellington Estates is already installed, so that's not gonna be monolithic. The curbing is already there. So,
And some of it is, it's not the
how,
entire,
how much of the curbing is
just the
in?
entrance.
I'm not sure how much is out there. We haven't done an as-built on any.
Yeah, it was just the entrance.
We can, you know, as part of the decision, get a revised plan that shows that the Cape Cod berm is gonna be monolithic as a top course. It's not, really doesn't matter in construction, so,
No, it doesn't, but I mean, just, if this is the plan they're approving, then they should have
yeah.
what I thought was agreed to. I could be wrong, but.
Yeah, let's not go back and forth anymore.
Right,
Try to
so,
get it over
so what
with.
I'll do is I'll show the stop signs on the plans, the three ways. I'll make the detail monolithic, and I'll bring you revised plans tomorrow.
And then you call out these sidewalk ramps to be concrete, cement
Yes.
concrete?
Yes,
Okay.
the concrete ramps are required to be ADA accessible, 1 and 12, with a 4-foot area or turning and so on.
Yeah,
and
it
so
just didn't seem like they were denoted as being cement concrete, I just wanna make sure that, unless I'm missing it.
In accessible curb ramp notes, it doesn't say anything about concrete.
Yeah, but the symbol is concrete.
The
though.
symbol on the,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's,
yeah, yeah,
they're required to be concrete.
yeah. Yep.
I can add a note that says that the ramps will be concrete per the ADA regulations. Alright?
And I think the only other comment that we had was, the sidewalks when they go through the driveways. Since these sidewalks are gonna be town property at some point, or comment, usually typically what happens is they have to remove the driveways and make the sidewalks work through the driveways. Obviously, there's one that we're not gonna do on, or suggested.
Yeah, I mean,
I
this.
mean, the sidewalk needs to have a maximum 2% cross slope on it to be ADA compliant. And typically when they put the driveways in, they don't.
Well, that would require the sections of this roadway that exceed 2% to have ramps that turn around and come back.
No, just the cross slope, not the pitch, the cross slope across the 4 foot wide.
Yeah, but how do you do that if you have a 3% slope of your street?
I'm talking about not the slope. Yeah, I know the slope of the sidewalk will follow the roadway, but the actual sidewalk needs to be pitched so that it drains. And it can't be more than 2% from one side to the other side of the sidewalk.
So what
Side
you're
to
saying
side
is,
is
so
what
what you're
he's
saying is
talking
if there's a driveway that goes down like this, it has to be a sidewalk like this,
Mm-hmm.
that's what he's saying.
And honestly,
That's gonna
there's
affect it.
very little of that side of the road that's gonna require any, you know,
Yeah.
cause it's very low. So there's really not gonna be any of that.
I really don't think that it's going to be an issue.
I don't
But
think
in
so
Matt's,
either.
in Matt's email, he raises it as an issue. I don't personally think it's gonna be an issue, because the roadway is already there. So we're gonna be matching the grade of the roadway with the sidewalk.
I agree.
Yeah, I
agree.
know, I'm not talking about that, I'm talking about where it intersects with the driveways, you know, that section of
Yeah,
the
but again,
sidewalk that.
I think the driveways are pretty,
They may be,
low,
but if
you
they're
know, so
more
it's
than
not gonna
2%,
require
then
any-
they're technically there.
in fact, I think you may have to raise them if anything.
Right, so what I can do is I can add a note that says the driveway cross slope cannot exceed 2%.
Yeah, I mean, that would be,
That's fair enough.
because it's technically not the property owners, it's in the roadway right away, it's gonna be the town property, correct? This is not homeowners association. It's gonna be town property at some point, and if it's not ADA compliant.
I think most of those driveways that are in, you don't even need
They
to
may be,
touch 'em.
they may be, but I mean, there might be
Because
one or two. I know,
it's-
especially when I went through Wellington, there are a lot of them that are pretty steep.
That's gonna be their job, you know, they know what needs to be
Yeah,
done. If
so
it
we'll just
doesn't
put a
meet-
note on the plan, and we'll make sure that.
As long as the note's there and we hold you to it.
Yeah.
And if the contractor builds it and it's more than 2%, he'll have to come back and fix it.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Okay, any comments from the public? Please state your name and address, please. Sir?
My name's Michael Maderas. I live at 2131 Tommy's Way. I believe it's lot 11. Used to be lot 11. As far as the monolithic berm goes, that is installed and in front of my house right now.
Which one is yours?
Yours is Cape Cod right here. I have the Cape Cod berm running to my driveway. It runs, and where their plow hit it already, it is already damaged. They did attempt a fix the first year the plow hit it, and as you guys know, the repair work is
Reducing the.
not uniform when you try to repair that type of berm. And the second year the plow hit it, it has not been repaired since. So if you guys are gonna go with monolithic berm throughout everything, I would like it if they could replace the damaged sections that are there now.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's gonna end up happening. There's a little bit, if I may, Mr. Chairman.
Sure.
There's a little bit of a Cape Cod berm there now. If the plows have busted it up and so on and so forth, when the top course goes on and you're putting in the Cape Cod berm at the same time, that's all gonna get repaired. So it's really a pseudo, small amount of a Cape Cod berm. It's only like a little bit of a lift
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
It's really wasn't, it's just a binder.
Uh-huh.
So when it goes back on the top course, that'll all be fixed.
The other issue I had was, I'm not really sure, I haven't been able to get a straight answer from Lopes about a junction box that is at the corner of my property.
The CET right here?
Yep, every junction box, I believe by the building code, is required to be at the lot lines.
Uh-huh.
Right? That's why every other one is at the lot lines. When the Rodericks, owner of the development, installed that box, it was right before they went bankrupt. They did not know where the property lines were. And from that picture, it doesn't do it any justice. It's
Got a
30
picture?
feet off of the property line, and it ends at 35 feet off. And the distance into my yard, as everybody's been saying, is 10 feet. It starts at 11 feet into my yard.
You have a
This is,
picture?
yeah, this is, the gas can I used is the stake that was driven in, by
So the-
Lopes.
So the gas can is the lot line,
That's where it's supposed to be. That's where the stake is driven from my lot corner.
and what's this right here?
That's my tape measure.
Just, so it doesn't mark anything, it's
No,
just,
that's about the 10 feet in.
okay.
So it's quite a distance off. And being at the corner as opposed to around the corner, I think it's much more likely to get hit if somebody does go cutting the corner, you know, as opposed to being inside the turn. It's now on the outside of a turn. I think it's, the only person who's gonna be affected if that gets run over is gonna be me and my other neighbor.
So
which would-
this serves both of you,
Correct.
which is why it should be on the line.
Right, because especially with it being 11 feet in, I could
That's a-
basically deny him access to it.
Yeah, right. Or deny,
Especially when it's 30 feet off
deny
the
his
line.
repairman.
Right, access. So I would like it if that got moved.
That's all-
Is it on a
that's all the
concrete
power.
slab?
We have to, we also, Mr. Chairman, we also have to remember that the Lopes Company bought this
Yeah, yeah,
subdivision because it went bankrupt. They
Right.
picked it up. Things were done not correctly by others. It is, you know, kind of unfair to state we're gonna rip up underground electric lines in people's lawns to move, cable boxes to a property line at this stage of the game, if you ask me. I could be wrong, but, I mean, I think that we've been forthright, upfront, trying to get this thing done, doing the right thing. I mean, we're already gonna be ripping up people's lawns as it is with the sidewalk.
I ask you a question, you,
Yes, sir.
before the purchase of the property, you were aware of the faults that the property had, I assume, and you would have done an inspection of the property to verify what you perceived as wrong was actually wrong or right.
We weren't asked to do
So
that.
I don't think we should ask to put the burden on the homeowner to move that.
My question, what is the cause, what happens to you by having that where it is versus where it's going to be? What is the,
If,
I'm
if
just-
anybody ruins that, I'm gonna be without power for days and days, cause nobody's coming to fix two people without power. That's
but if it gets moved, it'll be the same two people.
right,
Right.
but it's gonna be getting moved, and they would schedule construction to move it. It would take a couple of days to move it, maybe one day to dig it up, and if they couldn't finish it in one shot, maybe a couple days. But if somebody drives over it, you call a National Grid and request them to
You
come
know,
up for
if I may,
emergency
Mr.
repair.
Chairman, I think that a good idea, if he's concerned about it being protected, we could put a couple of bollards around it, steel bollards in concrete. Therefore, if a truck comes, it's gonna hit the bollard, not his electric boxes and his cable TV. You could put one on both sides of it.
And by adding the sidewalks, which we're doing, we'll have that added protection as well, that it doesn't have right now, it's that much harder to.
I just think it makes it that much harder to move it if we wait until the sidewalks go in. I think it's not being constructed to the way the building codes are requesting it to be constructed. And basically, I've been told that this is gonna be moved right all along, and now it's the final hour and it's still not moved. And now I've come to you guys to talk to it about.
Who told you that?
Are you aware of this
I've,
being moved?
I've been talking to
Joe Touch.
Joe Touch and, some guy in a red truck, that's the lead foreman for the whole development. I don't have his name.
Norman Crowley?
I can tell you if I saw him. He's been the foreman there. When I first mentioned it to him, they came out and staked it out right away, cause my neighbor, when they built my neighbor's house, they pitched his yard into mine. They installed his sprinklers in my yard, cause everybody's using that as the lot line.
Oh, right.
I can't get my yard, like, I pay True Green to come fertilize my yard. They won't fertilize the other 10 feet, cause the junction box, they just go to the junction box. Everybody assumes that's, I might as well sell off 10 feet of my yard, cause nobody recognizes it as
If
mine.
the money is right, why not?
Excuse me, Mr.
Right, so
Chairman,
the
I'm
Lopes
just sending- I'm
company
sending
knew
a
about
text
this
to,
all along, and they told you that they were
Mr.
gonna
I
take
haven't
care
come
of
See
here
it.
and
if he's-
complained, 'cause
He's
it's
actually
been-
promised that.
Okay, so let's see what he has to say. As a matter of practicality, to move that 10 feet, there would have to be a junction box for all three of those services at the place that it is, because I assume there's not an extra 10 feet of line twisted up
I
inside
doubt
those
it,
boxes.
no.
So if there's a junction box at that point, what does that mean? Does the concrete pad have to stay for the junction box? Can the junction box be buried?
There's still, the pipes that ran the wire are still there for running it from here. It's basically, you could just do another home run for
So you
this.
do a run from here to the new one, and you
Right.
take those and you sell them for scrap. I get you. So let's see what, the developers have to say. We have a text in to see if the promise is made, and if the promise is made, I should certainly hope that the promise will be kept.
It keeps being kicked down the road and.
Is there anyone else?
I just had another.
You wanna try to call him?
Oh, go ahead,
This is
please
not-
step up.
Yeah.
Paul Kelly, 2050 Billy's Lane. Going back to the driveway situation, I know, you talked about the 2% and everything. And I believe, I forget your name, it came
Jeff,
up.
yeah.
And you had measured the slope.
Well, Norm was out there, he had the
Right.
smart level, he was checking it, and,
Did that fall within the range that they're talking about as far
yes,
as?
if I remember correctly, it did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
It should, I mean, it's
Yeah, I
it's
mean, those
almost
driveways,
level.
that subdivision's pretty
Yeah,
close.
I don't see
Yeah.
Kathleen Haig, 112 Sunny's Way. I have a couple of questions. Number one, I'd heard a rumor somewhere along the line that Sunny's Way was gonna be made a one-way. They said that the town was gonna make it a one-way.
Sonny's way,
Sunny's Way was gonna go counterclockwise.
is that yours?
Yeah, that's Wellington, I'm not sure where that's coming
I
from.
think we discussed one-ways here and there, but we didn't
At the last meeting that, Lopes Company held, that was mentioned, that, once all of this roadway was going in, that it was going to be a one-way, and I just want to find out if that is true, which way it's going, and what the reason is for it to be made a one-way.
My recollection is that we talked about having Billy's Lane be a one-way, was that what it
Yes,
was?
we
talked
originally
about
were
Billy's
talking
Lane.
about Billy's
We did not
Lane.
talk about Sonny's Way being a one-way.
Okay,
And
because
if
that's
that-
what we were told at the
if-
last meeting, I just wanted to clarify.
If that's what the developer's intention was, they'd have to come before this board and you'd have an opportunity to state your support
Okay.
or lack of.
Okay, so as of
support.
right now, it's not gonna be a one-way.
No.
My other question is I know that safety is everyone's concern, and on, Tommy's Way going into Sunny's, we have 4 20-mile-an-hour stop, signs, we have 4 speed bumps, and we have 3 stop signs. Are they all gonna stay?
3 stop signs.
We have 3 stop signs.
The three-way
Coming and
stop
going, the
sign.
3-way stop.
Yep.
We have 4 speed bumps, and we have 4 20-mile-an-hour signs.
It's my understanding the speed bumps are temporary.
Yeah, they're
They're
gonna
gonna
go with the
be-
final.
Correct.
Okay, and everything else is gonna stay, I just,
The other stuff, I'm not positive, I'm not sure.
I mean, the stop signs at Tommy and Billy's
yep,
are,
they're staying.
are to remain.
Okay, all right,
Those are permanent fixtures.
okay, no problem. But the speed bumps will be removed.
It was my understanding that they were there to slow down the construction vehicles and,
Okay,
and traffic going in and out of the
Yeah,
subdivision.
we had received quite a few complaints, not only about construction vehicles, but also vehicles, regular automobile traffic
yeah,
with speeding, so that was the method he took to abate it, and seems to be working, I
See,
guess.
it works pretty well for me.
well, I just have some concerns about the speed bumps,
Yeah.
because it does, I understand that it does slow people down, but it also slows down the emergency vehicles if anything should happen. And if someone's having a medical emergency, every second does count, and I was just curious about that as well. Thank you.
Sir?
Hi, my name is Christopher. I'm on lot 18 on Tommy's Way. The easement next to my property, so this is my property. Easement next to my property, I've noticed every other easement has concrete drainage system. Mine has plastic and it's falling apart. So I've done my best to try to keep it intact, but that's not gonna last and it's being blocked. There's an easement right next to my driveway. Don't know if this is the
On this
right time to
plan
bring it
here?
up. Yeah.
Right here.
Yep.
So this right here?
The flat end
Some of
section,
these, we can't enforce.
And every other easement that I've noticed around the development is made of concrete.
that's lot,
Second.
26-2 and,
26, between 26-2 and, doesn't say, existing house.
Lot 18, minus lot 18. I don't know if it doesn't say
yeah,
here.
right here, 26-2 and 18, I got it. So we'll do that, we'll put a concrete one in.
Thank you.
And it's my understanding, based on, John's communication with Mr. Touch, we'll do what is needed, for that abutter to put the electric in where he wants it.
So we'll work something out.
Work something out with him.
You wanna say it louder so we can hear you? Sure. Sir,
Did you hear what?
No, I didn't.
they're gonna move it for you.
I spoke with Mr. Touch, we'll work something out that accommodates the issue.
Perfect, thank you, I appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Hi, Jeff
Sir.
Caballo, 2124 Tommy's Way. Hate to go back on this, but I was a little confused. We talked about putting monolithic berm everywhere, and then I heard we're gonna replace and repair Cape Cod berm and put that everywhere too. What's the final verdict on the berm?
The existing berms are temporary, so to speak,
Okay,
and when the final course concrete, or asphalt is put over it,
Okay.
then the monolithic berm will be incorporated into the final course of asphalt.
okay, so will the existing Cape Cod berm, which only exists
It'll be
on
under,
the circle,
it'll be
will that be
underneath
removed?
everything.
Right.
It'll be under,
Be under it?
yeah, you won't see it, it'll become part of it.
Okay, alright. Thank you.
Sir?
Harvey Blanchett, 2138. Is the circle island still gonna be put in? You don't see it in the diagram at all.
We discussed it. And right now it has the Jersey barriers.
No, they've been
No,
removed.
oh, they have been removed. I honestly don't remember what we.
Was that an amendment that you did, Jeff?
No, as far as I know, that's still that's gonna be,
We talked
installed.
about changing angles, but I don't remember.
Yeah, right here, right?
Yeah.
What happens, what they were nervous about is if we were to take and change this angle, then that would be allowing that people to actually go faster into that. This will actually slow the traffic at this point here, and especially having the circle in there, which I think is part of what's gonna happen.
That was the initial intent.
Yeah, traffic calming.
Installing it, correct.
Yeah.
Right, I think we mostly discussed the size and the material that will ultimately be there, because it would
Yeah.
be someone's responsibility to maintain it.
Mhm.
So we didn't wanna put too much burden on them, and exactly trying to design what the most appropriate size was, so that, cause we had concerns about vehicles getting through there, but also
Right.
being small enough that vehicles, larger vehicles, buses, trucks would be, emergency
Right,
vehicles would be able to get through, but large enough to have the effect of slowing down normal vehicular traffic.
What is the plan for the island? We talked about
What size you mean?
I mean, the
We talked about
cul-de-sac,
grass,
yeah,
we talked about rocks, we talked about Jersey barriers, we talked about bollards,
Yeah, what do we do?
Boulders.
What is the plan?
boulders, Statue of Liberty, whatever.
So it shows Cape Cod berm and shrubs to be planted in there.
Yeah, some low shrubs, low maintenance shrubs, the maximum height about 3 feet.
Yeah,
That won't.
That won't
Proposed
impact
landscape
sight,
island.
Impact sight
Yeah.
lines.
sight lines.
Question
So
is how
it's
wide,
staying.
how wide is that roadway going to be?
around it.
Yeah.
What scale's your plan, Jeff?
40.
Thank you. This side is about 30 feet, almost 30 feet wide. This side here is same thing, so 30,
Okay.
30 feet around.
That's plenty wide.
But and it narrows down to 12 feet on coming into Wellington Estates. So that's a pretty good traffic calming measure, if you ask me.
And that's the intent, obviously.
So just if you would like, you can read from our minutes from
Sure,
that
please do.
discussion. It just said that it was determined that the island located in Cedar Estates roundabout is to be maintained by the homeowners association. Several considerations were presented to eliminate the Jersey barriers. Revised plans will be presented and reviewed at the September 5th meeting. So I think there was some discussions of different things bounced around, but there was no determination, but that something was gonna remain. And I think, as you had said, that it was gonna be something small to maintain, so it wouldn't be so
Yeah, this is
elaborate.
this is only about a 45-foot diameter island.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so then there's
So-
no changes to that.
No.
As much as we talked about changes, the decision that we made was to keep it as is.
Even though Tom Ferry didn't like it.
Yeah.
For plowing purposes.
For plowing purposes, it makes it tough, but for
Is it tough?
speeding,
Yeah, going down that 12-foot, those 12-foot,
That,
those,
that one there is
that's
the
gonna
one
be
that
tough
I
for the
don't,
plow.
I don't like that one at all, but, you know, it's, I don't know why that's there or what the purpose of it is.
what, the two entrances?
Yeah, well, that, how wide is that centered island there,
It's
whatever?
about 40 feet.
No, the center, this island here?
Oh, that
Yeah.
island.
Yeah, it's 14 feet wide.
14 feet wide, and then it's 12 feet to
on
either side.
That's correct.
That island is gonna get a lot of use from time to time.
You know, just to throw this out there, and I'm sure there's not a problem, but the fire chief, I think it's okay for fire apparatus, but did anybody,
When was this approved? What year?
Years ago.
all right, so he's already
Yeah, looking
approved
at
it.
Yeah, 2015,
Okay,
Okay,
so this is
January
the,
of 2015 or after that?
March.
March of 2015?
okay,
I'm pretty sure the fire code at that time was minimum length, width of the lane was 18 feet. It's now 20 feet.
right,
So I would hope that the fire chief took a look at it and said, I'm okay with it.
yeah, he must have,
If you ask me, if he really needs to get down there and there's something in the way, he's going over the islands.
yeah, as long as
He's
this.
going over the sidewalk.
That's
Well,
why
he's
going
got-
over
he
the
got a
side.
grass
There'll be a
strip.
lot of
He's
use
doing
of
something.
That's a grass strip?
Yeah?
I-
Yeah,
that's
this is,
fine.
this'll be bushes in here, but he has plenty of room to drive over the sidewalk if he needs to. But, Matt can verify that code, that's the state fire code is now.
Yeah,
Fire
20
lanes
feet
are
now.
20 feet, and I think a minimum radius of 25 for
Yeah,
their turning,
what it
so
is.
it's
I
very,
thought it was 30.
is it 30 now?
30
Okay.
radius, I'm not 100%.
25 or 30, it's up there. So they've been more aggressive in determining. Okay, so let's recap. 4-foot sidewalks, 2-foot grass strip, 3-way signs at Billy and Tommy's, verify installation, if not, install them properly where they need to be for the crosswalks. Cape Cod berm, detail to be monolithic with the top course of the pavement going down. Add a note, the concrete ramps are to be concrete. Show that the driveway cross slopes are to be a maximum of 2% grade. Cape Cod berm to be fixed in the cul-de-sac. We're going to replace the flared end section to be concrete between lots 26-2 and 18. The electric boxes and cable TV boxes between lot 11 and lot 10 are to be relocated to the center of the property line. And the island of the cul-de-sac of Tommy's Way is to remain, and the homeowners association is to maintain, Mr. Chairman.
Sounds about right.
Okay.
Ma'am?
Nicole Liberty, 110 Sunny's Way. Quick question, are there any stop signs planned for Sunny's Way?
Yeah, I think there's, at the intersection, if I remember correctly, there is gonna be one installed at that location
Okay.
as you're coming around, let's see.
When you're meeting
from
the
in-
straightaway?
When you're coming from the east
Mm-hmm.
into, towards the straightaway,
Yep.
there'll be one at
Okay,
that
so
location.
when you go to you'll stop there and then take a left to
Correct.
exit well on
Correct.
10.
Yeah.
All right, my second question is the, light, the pole lamps, the street lamps. What are your plans for them? Or if you have plans for street lamps?
If I may, I think we determined last time that they were not shown on the plans. The number was, we know how many we're putting in, but the locations weren't determined, and I think we probably need to decide
Determine?
that, yeah, so we can
You told
finally
us
show
at the
it.
last meeting that they were going in and you hadn't determined where they were going.
Right.
We have a rule of as
That'd be
to how
up to-
many lights go for how many feet, or?
I don't know what the town is, that'd be up to the, district.
I mean, this plan here shows stop, or street lights.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Cedar Estates shows streetlights, but I'm looking.
At the last meeting, we were told 2 street lamps were going in Sunny's Way.
And I think we may have discussed, putting one near the intersection and one
Yeah,
as.
there's one called for here and one called for out at the cul-de-sac of Thomas Way.
When I look at them, they're like every 500 feet apart, at least on my street, I don't know what the rule is.
I mean, I know we had discussed quickly at the meeting, last meeting, that it would make sense to put it where you're gonna put the stop sign. And then the opposite side of the development where the retention pond was, to put it in front of the retention pond, so it technically didn't get placed right in front of someone's home. And so, and then it probably would be good to light up that retention pond area in case you ever needed that area to be lit up, for emergency purposes or whatever. And also that wouldn't be in front of somebody's home, so we were just wondering where you said that there were 2 planned for Sunny's, so we were just wondering where they were gonna be placed.
The 2 that were on the plan that was approved by the planning board are at the entrance near the cul-de-sac of Tommy's Way,
Yeah.
and then also at the intersection.
Okay.
And nothing
They
else.
let us believe
Not in
that
the
Sunny's
back.
Way was getting 2, and then Tommy's Way was getting their share. So, we were just wondering in Sunny's,
Yeah, I'm not sure what was discussed, I'm just going by what was on the
Okay.
plan that was approved by the
We
board.
did not discuss lights until now. And,
okay, alright.
so the plans for the lights are,
See, this is where the
approved
lights go.
plans have a light right at the
Okay.
circular
Mhm.
end of Tommy's Way, right at where the corner of,
Where the circular's gonna be, like,
where the
the rotary.
entrance to Sunny's Way starts. Tommy's Way
Yeah,
is
I mean, this whole
ends,
area.
Sunny's Way starts, and there's a light there. And
Where
then
where they're gonna put that circle,
the
right?
island is?
Something up
Where that
there.
island
We
is?
would have
on the
lights
Sunny's Way,
Not
come
in the
take a
island,
look.
but we should.
Right.
in
So
the
would it be in
future
Tommy's, or would it
put
be in
something on
Sunny's?
Oh,
So it's gonna be
Right
in
at the
that
intersection.
property?
It's right,
Right
on
here.
the line, pretty much.
Okay, gotcha,
And
okay,
then
so
right
that would make sense.
here.
There, yeah.
So there's one at this intersection, but it's not an intersection, but it's an
The
entrance.
little, yeah,
And then right here at the intersection.
okay.
Okay.
Alright, we're just inquiring, cause the last meeting, they
At
led
that
us to
time, the
believe
board was
that
not
they
in
were gonna
favor of
put 2 going
a lot of
around the
streetlights.
circle of
Not in
Sunny's Way.
favor?
Not in favor.
Not including the one where that
It was
rotary
not-
is,
wasn't
where they're
talked
gonna
about
put
that.
that circle.
What's that?
Yeah.
We didn't ever talk about
So we were
lights.
just curious,
No,
I
when
mean, I
that
don't know
plan
how
was
many
approved in
they had
2015,
delegated for Tommy's Way.
Right.
They
I
just
was
told us
here,
that
and I
2
don't
were
recall. I
going
mean,
on
again,
Sunny's
I don't
Way.
recall.
yeah, I mean, I don't remember
So we
that,
kind of
it
figured that one would go at
was
that
minimal,
intersection.
would be required.
You know,
We
'cause
were
it made sense,
figuring, I
'cause
know
there's
the
a
thought
stop
was
sign
to
there,
light
so
up
that makes sense.
Right.
the intersection.
And then the opposite.
You know, make sure
We
they were
figured,
lit,
we
but the
didn't-
rest of it,
Nobody had, in front of the,
I'm just saying that we should set something
retention
up in
pond
the future for
out
future
of,
developments.
not in some, front of
Every
somebody's
so many
home.
feet, we should have a
So to
light
say.
yeah,
put in.
I thought they were mandatory.
no.
They don't
You know,
have to pay any
typically,
light-
like your intersections,
They
where
won't
where
have to
stop
pay any
signs are
light
gonna be.
tax.
What's that?
There's
Won't have
only
to
one
pay any
that's
light
on,
tax.
but we just wanted to know how many.
Now, this,
And,
Mr. Chairman,
What the randomly pulling in the back of the
Ken
development would just,
2117 Thomas.
wouldn't make,
This doesn't have to do
much
with my
sense. If
property.
you're gonna have them,
So I
you
live
know,
right here.
like Joe
and
said,
my
you have them
neighbor
every
across
1,000
the
feet or
street,
something,
he
then
has
it
an
looks
existing
uniform
box
throughout the
that was
development,
put
but
for a street light
other than
in
that-
his yard. It's, I think might be this right here. And from what I understand, the box is set too far back from what was supposed to be regulated in the property. It's like 18 to 20 feet back into its property. So I just wanted to make you aware of that. I mean, I don't really know.
Well, there's a transformer box
And
there,
right behind that, there's
Behind
like a
it,
concrete base.
away from the
behind the transfer box,
Yes.
yeah.
It was
You guys aware
originally
of that?
planned for a light post, and it was.
Yeah.
And also Blanchett also had one on his property before you guys put your driveway in, and it got removed, and it was on lot 9. Originally, there was one on lot 9 here, and what he's talking about here is in between lots 6 and 7. There's a pedestal, concrete pedestal that was supposed to be used for a light post, but it's just got wires sticking out.
I'm not sure why they went in, because there's nothing on the plans that identified
Yeah,
light
it
poles.
is-
Yeah,
it's
it
there if you
was,
look at it.
it was similar to the situation.
Yeah, it
where I
might,
think
be,
they put
Mr.
it
Chairman, it
in
might be on the
right-
ground, but it's not on the approved set of plans, so I don't know why those went in.
So I don't know what needs to be done with that, I just
Yeah, I
wanted to
don't
make
know.
you aware.
Well, the question is, can we say, you know, try to fix it or not? I mean, that's, I don't know if that's in
Is the intent to put that on, would that be the location for the light on Tommy's? If you're saying there's one, I'm sorry, you said there's one here?
The plans don't show, the approved plans don't have any light posts on
the, yeah,
the
I mean,
way.
that's already private land, so.
Yeah, we can't work on people's lands.
Right here. Between lots 6 and 7.
This is transformers behind this one, you said?
Yeah, the transformer's here, and then if you look into his property, there's
Oh, it's that
a
one.
concrete pad like right over here. It's got a still up there for a lamp, and originally there was also one here, but when they built that home, they tore it out, I guess, I don't know if they did that.
You didn't know that.
Really?
So, Mr. Chairman, we,
Hearing at
So
6:15.
do-
Which one?
The
next
ordinance.
one.
The ordinance.
That's 17.
and Mr. Chairman, we kinda recapped what we were going to revise in the plans.
Yep.
I'm in favor of getting all of this stuff done tomorrow.
Mm-hmm,
If Kerry's gonna be here, I'll bring the plans in.
okay.
How many copies do you want?
How many copies do we need?
Typically, we have 5 delivered.
Okay,
But first, let's, would someone like a motion to approve the changes subject to the conditions that we discussed?
I'll make a motion.
Sir?
Sorry, I just have one more issue. I still have irrigation lines in that go all the way around the side of the property. And the original plans had the sidewalks going on both opposite sides of my property. And so, with the new plans, it affected me severely, the driveway issue and the irrigation lines. And basically, there's over a football field worth of irrigation line to be count both sides of the property. And I know the excavators had told Chris here that they would actually move those for them. And I just wanted to see if that was gonna be possible to be done.
what lot are we talking about?
19.
19.
The one with a fancy driveway.
The one with the fancy
I
driveway.
think, didn't Joe already say he was gonna relocate those in an email?
I thought so, yeah.
This is where you live? You right here? With the fancy
Yes.
driveway?
Yep, that's the one.
Yeah, I thought Mr. Touch already agreed that he was gonna.
I didn't get any official agreement that he would do that. From him.
His word.
He was gonna, well, he was gonna talk to, he's friends with the company that actually installed the lines, and he said he was gonna talk to him, but I never actually heard back from him. We were gonna discuss it at the meeting at his office, but he wasn't there, so I just wanted to get confirmation he did do that.
You know, we'll discuss relocating the lines with Mr. Touch. I mean, if they're already in the right of way, then they were installed incorrectly. And they should have been, someone should have surveyed the lot for this gentleman first before they put him in.
The only thing is, most people, when there is no sidewalks on there,
Right.
they do bring the irrigation out to the road. So in this case here, I understand where you're coming from, but in this case here, he did what was the right thing to do. Otherwise, he would have 7 feet of yellow grass and
Right.
the rest of it would be green. So what it is, it is.
I just didn't hear the answer about the, light posts in Sunny's.
Well, the plans, the permitted plans, the approved plans do not show light posts.
Okay.
Somebody put light posts, and I don't know who that
No, it's
somebody
on
is.
Sunny's, that's on Billy's.
No.
On Cedar Street,
On Billy's Lane, excuse me, it's hard to keep straight. The approved plans do not show lights on the plans,
In Billy's.
in Billy's.
On Billy's.
And so somebody, whether it was 3 developers ago, or I don't know who it is.
How about on Sunny's?
On Sunny's, somebody put those there.
No, on Sunny's, they're
No,
all
not on
on that way.
Sunny's.
There's two.
I'm on Sunny's.
She's
Are you on
concerned about
Sunny's?
Sunny's.
Okay.
I'm on
Yeah.
Sunny's.
Okay, on Sunny's. At the roundabout where it starts,
Yeah.
and at the
Which is-
intersection.
Which is
Yeah.
still Tommy's Way.
No.
Yeah.
Tommy's Way ends. Sunny's Way
At the
begins.
roundabout.
It's basically where Tommy's Way ends and
It's at the
Sunny's begins,
beginning
right
of
there.
There's one
Sunny's
there.
Way.
There's one
And there's
there.
going to be one of the
sign
3
is.
stop signs.
Correct.
Right, so there's one
But
at
No,
that
not the 3,
sign.
there's only one stop sign going at that intersection.
No, I'm talking about
Tommy
on
and Billy's is
Tommy's
gonna have
at-
the 3-way.
Oh,
Once you get into Wellington Acres,
Yeah.
at that intersection
Is it-
there, there'll be a light.
so there's 2 for
There's
both
2,
developments.
there's one at the entrance and one at that intersection.
Take me, you wanna see where it is?
And that's
You
it,
got- they
because
got
we
it
were
right
told
here.
there were 2 going around
I'm
Sunny,
okay
so
with
that's
it.
what
I
we're
don't
trying
want
to
the
determine.
light in front of my house, that's.
Right.
So that's,
It's the flashlight.
So can I ask the same question?
Looks really
about
nice
Cedar?
when it's snowing out.
Tommy's and Billy's.
Tommy's and Billy's.
Yes,
Was
ready,
at the entrance.
yes,
The approved plans do
Yes.
not show any lights.
okay.
Somebody put posts in as if there were going to be lights.
Yes,
It is not this gentleman, or this gentleman, or this gentleman's responsibility that somebody put them there.
okay.
Unless you can find documented evidence that they put them there.
I know
So-
they didn't, so
So,
we're just asking, is there a plan to put lights on Tommy's?
there is no plan from the town to put lights on Tommy's Way.
Okay, perfect.
So your options are to put a lawn gnome on top of it, put shrubs around it, remove it.
Okay.
But it's the plans that you decide, not that this board decides or that these gentlemen are forced to
Okay.
do.
Yes,
They're
thank you.
doing quite a bit as is, I believe.
No lights on Cedar Estates, check.
Billy's Lane, Tommy's Way, no lights.
Except for right here.
That is not, that is
It says proposed
But it will
street
shine
light.
into.
but that is, this is
Oh, yeah,
Wellington.
Tommy's Way is.
Not Tommy's Way.
Yeah, it's the cul-de-sac.
It's,
I mean, the
corner of it.
but
roundabout,
Right.
whatever.
if
it
we're
may be.
going to stick with legalities, and we must here as much as we can, it is not in Tommy's Way, it is in Sunny's Way. And it's all in my way. To get this done. So,
I have one more question.
Sir.
And this may not be the venue, but, I was asking, I sent an email asking about, so eventually this will be turned over to the town, we have to set up an HOA. There's some confusion of which lots for Cedar Estates, Tommy's and Billy's, which lots actually apply. Because the plot plan here says lots previously, lots 1 through 4. So it says, doesn't say it there, but on this one here it says,
1, 2, 3, 4 are not part of the subdivision, they are part of
They were
Cedar
Form
Street.
As.
They are Form A lots.
okay, so.
No, this is interesting, I can also
Yeah.
shed some information here.
Thank you.
So, so what you'll see happen is, when the Rodericks permitted the Form A lots, they did 4 Form A lots before they ever went for the subdivision. And to keep this lot out of the subdivision, there's that strip of land right there along Tommy's Way, so that this lot isn't part of the subdivision. But when they numbered the lots in the subdivision, created a homeowners association, these lots were included in it.
Yeah, the current
But they're
HOA
Form
says
As though.
19.
They are, but they do have frontage on Billy's and Tommy's.
The frontage is okay, but the main frontage is on Cedar
Cedar
Street.
Street.
That's where the address
Right.
is.
The address is Cedar.
So that could have been a Form A all day long, and there's no,
So you're
I
saying
mean,
these are excluded from the homeowners association?
The way the homeowners association is drafted, they're included.
They're included.
Yeah, the HOA as it stands right now says 19.
So are these 3 lots encumbered by the homeowners association, and have the owners signed into it, or been told that they are part, whether they can sign in or not?
There's no, well, right now, the HOA only lists, Lopes as the only member until it gets turned over to the homeowners.
Right, but they are referenced in the homeowners association as being among the lots that are part of the homeowners.
I happen to know that
They
the
shouldn't be.
lot on the corner of that lot, when he built that house, none of that was done.
Mhm.
So therefore, he's saying, I bought that property before anything was started, so I happen to know him well, and he's saying no.
Can I speak to that too as well?
Sure.
It's like the whole idea of an HOA. I didn't hear a volunteer a year ago. I'm all willing to help the community, but it was not part of my sales agreement. I had a long conversation with my lawyer recently, and I've gone into detail, going back and forth. Even though I'm willing to help, it's not part of my it wasn't part of my sales agreement.
You're in one of these?
I don't.
No, he's in actually.
Oh, you're
Yeah.
deeper in?
Yes.
Oh.
Even if I want to go about the legality of it and go into detail, someone screwed up somewhere, but it's not
Yeah.
part of my sales agreement. And I thought, and I've sent emails to him several times, and I think.
Who's him?
I can't remember, John,
Me,
you're John,
yes.
right? I haven't got a response from it, and hence the reason why I had a conversation with my lawyer about it, and went into detail, and it's not on my sales agreement. Just wanted to bring that up.
But the homeowners association was a matter of public record. In fact, even without it being in sales agreement, several people, several closing attorneys saw it on record, asked us for certificates saying that there was no fees due when they purchased lots in the subdivision.
Fortunately, this is not a court of law.
There you go, that's it.
This is a planning board, and before the planning board, as I suggested that someone make a motion to approve the subdivision, the plan changes, heard the discussion and the notes that we've all been taking. Would anyone like?
So moved.
Joe
Did that
Figurito
include-
did
I
make the
did.
motion.
He did make the motion, you can
I'll
second.
second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank
So
you
is-
very much.
Was the irrigation gonna be there though?
Yeah, well, the irrigation is,
gonna
it's
be
part of, is part of it, yes.
Okay.
I still don't feel like I got an answer to my question
About?
the HOA issue.
That's,
It's not-
it's really not us, I'm not a lawyer, I can't answer that.
Those other lots, to me, if they were deeded out before the
I thought I
subdivision was
could-
approved,
sorry,
they're not, they can't be part of it. Yeah, you can't bring those back in for these.
I can tell you.
No, well, that one definitely is, yeah.
That guy in the corner there, you're gonna have to kill him before he signs it.
You taking all your plans back?
Peter, what lot number is that one in the corner?
You're saying it's 16 lots? I'm not.
26-4.
Oh, yeah, that's Dell. The one you're talking about is this one right here.
You've had so many.
Thank you very much.
What lot number are you, sir?
That's, which, if you point in that one? Yeah, that's lot, 5.
Lot 5.
All right. I'll let me home by now.
The problem is, he's already spoken to his attorney, there was nothing on this. I doubt very much they're gonna be able to do it. That's my view.
Okay.
It's not on this
You don't?
purchase and sale.
All set around?
Yep.
You wanna
Thank
take
you
this
very
stuff?
question.
Bring the plans in tomorrow,
List
and,
them because,
we'll come in at
the
our,
people that were doing the
at our
sidewalks,
earliest convenience and
at the last
sign.
meeting,
You
they
need a
told us
block
they
on
weren't
it,
touching
says
the
the planning board
mailboxes,
signature?
and they
Yeah.
took their
Well,
little
as soon as
digger
I get
and
them,
dug up my
I will
mailbox
let
and
the planning
scratched
board
it.
know.
So I left the
Come
mail,
in and sign it.
Yeah,
and
but
put
block.
it out
Let you
mailbox.
know.
So I left a message
We don't need
with
a
Lopes
Mylar.
and nobody
You can
called
have that
me
one
back.
too.
We're not recording.
No,
We're
I
not
don't think we're
recording.
I just called, I just
for
Googled
our
Lopes and I left a
Right.
message.
Right.
So how about on the
And
Wallington
guy in-
acres?
the
You
guy
want,
in,
I can just submit a
that
revised
was
plan
digging
with
it up, said,
the,
I'm just
those sheets that are
I'm just
included
a
with the
peon,
new
go
sidewalk,
talk to Norman,
stamp
and
sign,
so I called Lopes
5
and I left
copies.
a message, I said,
Same thing.
I was told to ask for Norman, and,
Same thing.
One up.
they did, they
Make the
scratched
people
my
happy.
mailbox.
Easy, I do
Like-
leave, I usually leave early
And I told them
on
that,
Thursdays,
I
so
mean,
if
I don't know who
I'm
gets
not
the
here,
message,
you
it
can
just
leave
said,
it with
you
the
know,
town clerk,
because
she's
by
here
the
till
time I got
4:30.
home, Lopes
Are you
was
here on
closed.
Friday?
So Fridays
So
we're
I
closed.
just called and
I'll probably get mine up on Monday.
If I don't get, if I don't get it
I'll be here
tomorrow,
Monday.
it'll be Monday morning.
I'll be here Monday at 8 AM.
Thank you.
They just told me it was Norman who worked for
Thank you
Lopes,
very
so I
much.
just Googled Lopes, and whenever I
Yeah.
called them up, I just called them, but nobody, and that was, what, 2 weeks ago, they haven't got back to work on
The
this.
voicemail isn't Lopes?
Yeah, they haven't been back to work on the sidewalk, so I haven't seen anybody, but he just kept telling me he's the low man on the totem pole, so.
I'll get some stuff.
So is it gonna be stronger?
Yeah, I think you get a better job, because you can.
Okay, next item on the agenda is the public hearing for 1792 Horton Street. Let's see. So, legal notice Purpose, Town of Dayton Planning Board, in accordance with the provision of Chapter 41, Section 81P, Mass General Laws, the Planning Board will hold a public hearing on October 17, 2018, at 6:15 PM, sorry for the delay, at Town Hall Planning Board Office, yada, 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 on the application of Solo Realty LLC for the approval of a residential definitive subdivision plan located at 1792 Horton Street, Dayton, Mass, shown as Assessor's Map 7, Lot 41, containing 223,174 square feet of land. The applicant proposes a two-lot subdivision located in a residential agricultural district. All interested parties should attend the hearing. Copy of the plan are available, etc. So, sir, thank you for your patience.
I'm Brad Fitzgerald from SFG Associates with the project engineers. What we have is that we've come in front of you in the past with a Form A plan trying to separate this. There's two structures on the lot. We thought they were there prior to zoning. After a lot of digging, they found out that they weren't, one structure was not there before zoning. So, what we did was we went to the zoning board. We got a variance for frontage for the two lots and for dry land area for the two lots and for the setback for the proposed line between the two structures. That was granted by the zoning board. So now we're here before you, just looking for what in other towns call a Form J, but looking for your approval for the two lots with insufficient frontage. They each will have separate driveways. Currently you got a driveway serving this house and it curves around over to here. We're gonna be cutting this driveway off at the property line. There's a septic system going in here on top of the part that's getting cut out. The other septic will be over here. Each house is getting a new well. So both lots have individual access onto Horton Street. There's more than enough site distance either way on Horton Street. Horton Street's a gravel road that's wide enough and it's of sufficient width and grade to handle emergency vehicles. I believe that the house across the street over here in the triangle there has a driveway coming in off of Horton Street also, so, and I'm not sure about further up what it does, but.
How far are those houses from the property line?
5.5 feet. This one, it's 5.5 feet to a deck. This one is 5.5 feet to the foundation. It's the only way we could put a line in between the two houses.
I don't know if that even pertains to us, but if that goes through, in order for that, I'm not sure if that's gonna come across, both properties will have to be sprinkled because of the distance between them.
I think that would be a building department.
Building department, yeah. I
And
don't
these
know
were
if that
existing
pertains.
houses though too, Joe. They,
Yeah, but I don't know, but anyways.
So one has 132 frontage and the other one has 167, correct?
yes.
Okay.
ZBA.
There's no
ZBA
regulations on
granted-
that, how close the houses can be?
No.
Oh, the
I mean, well,
ZBA,
they're, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, the ZBA granted, variances for insufficient,
Sufficient frontage.
thank you. Insufficient frontage, dryland, and sideline setbacks. So that was part of the decision that the ZBA,
Sideline.
sideline.
So if we had the room, I believe it's what, 25 feet maybe for the sideline?
I'm
20
sorry.
25 the sideline?
Whatever the septic is like.
I wanna say
Whatever.
15.
If we had the room, we would've had to meet that, but we don't
Minimum
have the room.
side yard 15.
15. So we would've needed 30 feet between the dwellings and we get 11. So, if we had more than 30 feet, the line would've been more than 15 off of each, but we just don't have that, which is why we had to go through the variance process first. Along with the lack of frontage and the lack of driveway. But it was two buildings being used as houses, and my client's in the process of rehabbing them. It's already been approved through conservation, it's been approved through the Board of Health, and it's been approved through the zoning board. So, they're the last stop.
Carrie, has our attorney weighed in?
Our attorney did provide,
Which one?
Tolleran. So I did send him the information, and his response was, assuming that the variance cures all of the zoning defects that result from the proposed division, the applicant can apply for the definitive subdivision. They'll be requesting some of the waivers, which he has done here, to allow the one lot with two dwellings to be split into two lots with sufficient access per variance granted by the ZBA.
Say you've started rehab already?
Well, he started, and when he found out there was an issue with it, he stopped.
How far along is it?
I don't know, last time I was there, the houses were gutted.
The reason I ask is if this gets approved and part of the, and as a result of two houses, you need sprinklers, it's good that you're not too far along.
I hope he isn't.
I mean, that, I know that's a state law, but.
Oh, would
yeah.
that be for new housing, Joe?
No, I think that would be for any renovation, major renovations, so I'm really not 100% sure if it's gonna apply to that particular one, but.
Is that because of the distance?
Yeah, anything less than 25 feet apart requires, yeah.
So you're not requesting any waivers, or are
I
you?
am.
What, and they are?
The waivers would have been for the. Bear with me for a minute.
Was this Form R?
Yes. So for the insufficient frontage, and it would have been the side,
Per the variance granted by the ZBA?
yes.
I believe the only thing you have to look at is the frontage though, so we're requesting a variance on the, or waiver on the required frontage.
To subdivide.
The way I understand it is that you know, if you're gonna grant the waivers, you've gotta be convinced that there's sufficient access and sufficient width and grade on Horton Street.
Yes, Tom, if you recall, we were talking to
Yeah, we met
attorney.
with, David Gay, on another matter a few days ago, Maris Lane. And we talked about this, and his comments were exactly what he just said. As long as they can show there's sufficient access to the property, it's pretty tough to deny something like that, so that was our town council, so.
Any comments from the folks? Are you here for this or no?
Yeah,
Yeah, no?
yeah,
You are the applicant?
no.
You have a
We're-
question or concern?
We live across the street on Horton Street.
Mm-hmm.
My
You
que-
are?
I'm Jim Garrish, 1777 Horton Street. My question is, these houses, they were existing and it was, a two-family, it was a setup? It was set up as a two-family. So my question is, when he bought them, he knew that. So they're coming in asking for a subdivision of two, it was already existing as a two-family.
Or
They're
two
trying to-
one-family buildings?
Right.
Yeah.
So, just wondering, he knew what he bought.
I'm guessing he bought it with the expectation that he'd come in and do what he's doing.
But like that, like you're saying, he doesn't have the setback with the two houses, cause they are very close.
Did you attend the zoning board hearing?
We were under, the first letter that came, it wasn't under a subdivision.
Yeah, but it was for a variance
it was for a variance,
To s-
what was
To
it?
split the property, correct? I'm pretty sure that's what it must have been.
That's what the variance was.
It's a two-step process in something like this. You seek the variance and then come to us
I
after.
think by
so.
subdivision, we're just talking about cutting one piece into two, we're not talking about a road or any other further lots. It's just cutting that one big piece into two smaller lots.
And what's, I guess my question, is, what's that gonna accomplish? So you can sell them off separate?
Yes.
So typically, when someone comes up before us for a Form A, as long as it meets all the requirements, we basically are required to approve it. Even though it may be, one of the lots may be entirely wetlands, the issue of buildability is not really our issue as far as a Form A lot.
No, I guess the.
And in this case, it's just that somebody built years ago, and it's almost as if I'm assuming the zoning board realized that they are trying to cure a defect in the situation. And now here we are at the last step, more or less rubber stamping that cure, because if we deny it, if we approve it, we're not approving it as being buildable, but because it already has ZBA variances approved, then it in effect is. I don't know if I'm kinda going around in circles and confusing myself.
No, I'll be honest with you, the only reason why we're here is because the second letter that came was for a subdivision.
Mhm.
And I'm just saying, the first letter that we got was based, one was on doing a septic system.
That was the conservation.
Conservation,
So the other one, we never got. So we've only gotten 2 letters, which is why we're here when this came in as a subdivision. So we got the first one on the septic system, which we weren't gonna fight a septic system. So that's where I'm just making sure that the information's correct.
Yeah, I
Because
can't speak to why you did or did not receive, no one here did.
That's why we're here, this is our
If-
first.
If it is an issue, you could go to the ZBA and they have the cards, that it was all, I assume it was return receipt request. And if they missed you, then there may be an issue of legality, but I'm sure the appeal period has passed, so it's too late to do anything about it.
Basically, what it comes down to is that now we either approve this or deny
If
it,
we,
or-
yeah, we approve it or deny it. And
I mean, the setbacks.
And
the
as Tom said, having spoken to the town council, if we deny it, then
We will probably lose.
they can appeal it, and we will probably lose at great expense.
So why don't we just
So,
make a motion?
someone should make a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve it as shown.
Second.
All in favor?
Alright.
Thank you.
So you have Mylars, et cetera, to deal with, or?
I do.
Still have an appeal period, huh?
Yes,
Oh,
there
yeah.
is still an appeal period on that.
Now, you have a new appeal period for this that we just approved,
So,
21 days.
so you
Yes.
could theoretically appeal it on the basis of not receiving the ZBA issue, but again, I don't know if it's gonna get you very far, except that it's gonna.
No, I mean, it's not a concern, but the concern is when you understand what's going on in the market. We've been in the market, we did houses, I own apartment buildings, it's all about making money. So, more so, my thing is, something gets approved back in the day, and it gets approved, it's a 2-family. So, my thing is, if it's a 2-family, how do we then come in and say, we're gonna subdivide into a subdivision, it's existing?
Well, you go through a
So-
process, and they figured out the process, and here we are.
That's what the zoning board is all about. They went through zoning, they got it through.
So, I'll have to write the decision, they sign the decision, and then that gets time-stamped in with the town clerk. We have the 20 days. On the 21st day, then we can do the recording at the registry. I'm sure you're familiar with all this by now. and then we'll have the Mylar at the same time, and then we'll go from there.
So we record the decision first and then pick up the Mylar from you, or do both at the same time?
Do it all at the same time. It all gets done at the same time, after the appeal period expires.
Which
Okay.
isn't until you get it passed.
Correct. And so as soon as I get that written up and signed,
Let me know.
I'll give you an email
And I think they
and let you know so that we can, I'll tell you when the
some
clock
room they spread on lot two
starts
that shouldn't
ticking.
have been spread.
Okay,
Okay?
thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the extension of Old Williams Estates subdivision.
Have a good night, Brad.
And
So if you recall,
this is the one that we weren't sure if it
was still in
dead or
effect
alive.
or, right. So our attorney came back.
Thinking this? I do that so
Not at
well.
all. No, it was at the bottom of the pile where it's supposed to be, so.
So what did it sign?
Alright,
Sign them
so,
all, I don't know.
Yeah, did you the other day?
it appears that yes, our council did determine that yes, the decision has expired. However, since there's been some correspondence back and forth, it was led to believe that, the project was still viable or in effect, just for lack of a better term. So that our attorney just recommended that, if you guys do have an objection to having a revival of the project, that we make a vote. And then we set a definitive time period for that. Otherwise, if you're opposed to that, you would make that such motion. And then at that time, well, I guess you guys should make a determination first and then we'll go from there.
Right, so, if we are opposed, the applicant may have an argument that the planning board constructively extended the approval from the past practices and correspondence and so forth.
Correct.
And if that were the argument, I guess the applicant would make an appeal to land court?
Land court or the Superior Court?
Superior Court, some court.
It's a land court.
It wouldn't be the
Yeah.
ZBA.
No.
It would be a state
The
court.
Superior
This
Court.
is some
Yeah.
court, yeah.
So I guess the first question, before we discuss anything else, is does anyone have an objection to reviving this project?
I don't.
I have no objections whatsoever.
It's a conventional subdivision. Were there a lot of waivers that were?
No, and it still meets everything that's in force today, stormwater, all the subdivision control laws, it's still in effect.
So if we made a motion to extend the permit, but made that extension subject to the current subdivision control laws.
3 years? 3 years?
That's,
He said to set the definitive time period.
I would say
Revive
1
for
year.
definitive.
Why 3 years?
do you
They had
need,
3 years.
do you
then they
need
had
more
3.
than a year?
Is it for construction? I mean, most things don't get built within a year, but we can.
Oh, no,
we can see it.
start of construction
Start.
within a year,
Yeah,
completion within 3 years, then they could extend it
that's
for
fine.
whatever reason, but.
I think I'm just looking for the,
Yeah, I don't know how long.
I thought the rules and regulations said 3 years to.
Completion or to start?
Yeah, I have to read it again.
I
To
believe it's
start.
3 years to.
I
no,
think the
believe
start
it's
makes a
3
lot
years to
more sense
completion.
because we have subdivisions that have taken
3 years.
15 years.
3 years to start, if you wanna follow the subdivision rules and regulations. We could set it for a shorter time, but.
I think we should just, my opinion is that the motion should be to extend the permit subject to the current subdivision control law, including times.
So moved.
Perfect. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
appreciate it, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Good night.
Better hope land doesn't go down the tubes, it'll be down here again in 9 years.
I'm sorry, who
Take
made
it
that
easy.
motion?
Hi, Joe.
Joe, who
night.
seconded?
Me.
Okay, have some signatures that you guys already may have signed, I don't know, I think,
I think Tom just left.
Tom, you need to
Yes, you
sign.
did.
I
You
did.
signed on Monday night, so you can.
Any public input? No one here to input. Any correspondence? Oh, yes?
I have one item that, I got, an email from Chris King for Brook Street Solar, who is proposing to do a sidewalk on,
Oh, the week of the 22nd, right?
yes, he is proposing Friday, October 26th at 10:30. If you're available.
26th.
It's a Friday, yeah,
That's that
I know.
solar.
that's that
Anything 8 to
solar.
5, I'm.
I know, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, hey.
I could do the morning.
You can do the
Friday
morning?
the 26th in the morning.
Okay. Are you available October? I know Peter Williams was here the last time with that, so
Yeah.
it may be him, maybe you, I don't know which one.
One of
But
you.
I'll send an email out tomorrow morning to both you and him with that date and time, and then we'll go. from
What time
there.
was it?
That's Friday, October 26th at 10:30.
10:30. He
I
could
can
do it on his way to work if it was 8 o'clock, right?
Go in late.
That's Friday. Monday.
No, but you
Half a day.
have the 24th, which is a Wednesday. Yes.
Every Friday, Monday.
Gotcha, I gotcha.
So, Friday 10:30 works for me. Does it work for anybody else? Can we, so we can maybe have a quorum, so you have to make
I
it a
will make
public
sure that's
hearing.
posted, and I will let the other resident, there was a couple residents that wanted to
Oh,
be
more than a
included in
couple.
that, yeah.
26?
The 26th, it's a Friday,
It's
I
gonna
will
be a
send out an
parade.
email
Send out an
confirming
email,
that.
yeah.
I can be there.
I
So,
think-
I got a reminder, I'll be there.
I will give you a reminder.
Okay. You guys don't mind, I'm gonna leave.
We need to vote to approve the meeting minutes. Would anyone like to make a motion?
I'll make that motion.
October 3rd,
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's the last item on the agenda,
Oh,
except
one
for,
more.
whoop.
One more, the meeting minutes of October 15th, that's the public hearing that we had for marijuana.
All right.
bylaw.
Make a motion to approve the meeting minutes of October 15th.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Good night, everybody.
If we didn't adjourn.
Huh?
Motion to adjourn.
I've got a meeting at the Knights of Columbus
like a
right
second?
now,
All
so.
right, I'll talk to you tomorrow.
All in
Okay.
favor?
There you go.
Aye.
Thank
Good night,
you.
Cable.
Good night, Gable.
Okay, I'm sorry, who
Thank you, Matt.
motioned for the October 3rd minutes?
That was so
Any-
long- that was so
anybody
long
you
ago.
want.